it's amazing to see the network that's there and the talent that's there and the professionalism that's there. But part of the thing that we struggle with is making sure that we get that out to the community, that they know the resources that we have, and also what legally authority, what we can do as the sheriff's office, what we actually have. I mean, if you actually read through the county code, and we are the highest law enforcement official of our county. Now, some may argue that back and forth differently. It's a DA, it's a sheriff or whatever. At the end of the day, it's typically going to be your sheriff, and we're going to be the ones being called to respond to things.
Yeah, and I think it's important as county entities that we generally have more resources to conduct those kind of trainings and to provide support services to local law enforcement that small departments might not have.
Yeah, and they get strangled sometimes just by boundaries.
Yeah,
and with us having have a full county boundary.
That's right.
And including, and listen, I don't exclude, when I say this, I don't exclude the state police, because they come to our trainings. They have called us and said, are you guys available? Can you send a deputy? We'd like your help with this.
Yeah.
We're at a day and age, you're not the Lone Ranger. You can't do it all.
Yeah.
And we need to rely on each other. We're going to need to be there to support each other.
It's funny, one thing that I found through all of this is a common thread of cooperation and support with all brother and sister law enforcement. I don't care if you're a probation officer, if you're a state trooper, a federal agent, the mission set should be the same, community safety, right?
That's right.
So as teaching at the academy, somebody that teaches, helps write curriculum, helps to decide what the deputy of tomorrow is going to learn, I've realized that we always try to focus on what makes us in common. And it's the differences that is the commonality, right? Every county is different.
Yes.
Different problems, different abilities, different authorities vested to them by the sheriff themselves and their discretion in how they want to run their office.
Yes.
The district attorney with their prosecutory discretion and what they're going to allow or how they want to do it. All of that's okay. Let's keep it simple. Every single sheriff, no matter who you put in this seat, was elected, I believe, in meeting every single sheriff in this state, essentially, at the different functions we go to. It's a family factor, and we care about community safety. That's
Absolutely.
the biggest thing.
That's right. Including concerns with government.
Yeah.
And that's a big concern that all of us have to hear at some point, I'm sure, is that people are concerned about what the government does and where our office stands on it to protect our constituents for our county from overreach of the government.
I think that's part of the uniqueness of a sheriff's office, to be honest with
Absolutely.
you. Is that, you know, in a municipal police department, you've got somebody that gets hired and they have a mayor of that municipality, and they hire the chief of police. But like my county's 160,000 people. I have 160,000 bosses.
Absolutely.
You know, and hardly a day goes by that somebody doesn't come into my office. I may or may not know them, but they've got an issue and they want to talk to somebody about it. My door's always open for those folks. And I don't know that you necessarily get that from other types of agencies.
No, that's definitely the uniqueness about being a sheriff, for sure. As the elected official of your county, you know, the people get to speak, and like you say, our door's open for them to come in.
Yeah.
So Frank, while we have you and you're still on topic here, one of the unique programs that you have and several of the counties have had is they partner with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yes.
As many of us do a lot of different things in our county, but that's one of the things that we're hearing more often, and there's a struggle there because they struggle for coverage and support or assistance. Sure. And you just went through that. If you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, we got the agreement. We did an agreement for 2024, and we'll be doing a contract here for 2025, hoping to do a 5-year contract, which is fantastic.
Sure.
So, you know, this now opens up for myself and my deputies to patrol all of the Army Corps properties. When we have 2 lakes up in Tioga County, and it's big. We have a lot. There's 2 dams. You know, these are important structures, you know, for us to patrol and to secure. And it's also good for the people because this is one of the highest visitor places because of our camping up in Tioga County. It's one of the highest ones, one of the highest parks that's visited. And this now provides extra protection where they didn't normally have this, they didn't get this before. This provides that protection for not only our Tioga County citizens, but all the visitors that come to Tioga County.
Sure.
So it provides a great resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important when the community, from there, you're talking camping, boaters,
Yes.
hikers. I mean, all that. I mean, you've got the Grand Canyon there. You've got a
everything.
lot.
Rails
of-
to trails.
So-
There's a lot.
Yeah, so seeing that print from the sheriff's office and people, I mean, that, while there's some municipal law enforcement there, that print of the sheriff's office knowing, hey, we're protected, and the community seeing that, knowing they can rely on you or your office to come out and take care of whatever issue they may have,
Yeah.
is powerful.
Yeah, and it's been well received, I got to say. You know, just even going out myself and the people that we stop and talk to, and they are so thankful. They're like, wow, I didn't realize that the sheriff's office did this. And I said, well, we just started, and it's been so well received. You know, people are just so happy for us.
That we are that barrier of what we call overreach, but of decisions that the government makes versus the citizen, or maybe not versus, but in lieu of the citizen, and it coming back for things that we have to look at it as what the law says and what the Constitution says. And we have to make sure that we took an oath to make sure that we abide by both.
Yeah.
And that puts us in a difficult spot sometimes. And sometimes we end up in situations that aren't by our doing because of whether the way legislation's wrote or the way the interpretation of the Constitution is perceived. But I think being that barrier from the government and trying to interpret it and try to stand up for what's right. And I know that we all went through that.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little example of that. It may be somewhat controversial, but in 2020, when the Pennsylvania government was issuing mandates regarding the COVID crisis, masking, separation, closing business, and all those kind of things, I publicly told my deputies, again, I told them internally and I made it public, that unless something is a law, going back to sixth grade civics, we're not enforcing it. The legislature didn't pass it. The governor didn't sign it into law. We're not going to enforce it. And you would not believe the amount of positive feedback I got from people because they saw me as the sheriff, again, standing in that breach between the citizenry and the overarching government.
Yes, and we ran through the same thing. And many of the sheriffs did, because we talked about it in our meetings. What are you going to do? If it's not a law, I'm not arresting somebody because they didn't wear their mask.
And how many of our members of the public ask that question?
Yes.
Are you going to arrest me if I don't have the mask?
That's
Are
right.
you going to arrest me if I don't get the vaccine?
That's right.
Et cetera, et cetera. It's like, absolutely not.
And that's concerning to the citizens. They want to know that. They want to know where you are as their sheriff. And there's some things that puts us in situations. And COVID was another one with a license to carry, and made it very difficult coming in to get your license to carry. One, we had to come up with other means to do it.
Right.
And in some cases, and I being one of them, went into the first role of, listen, for now I need to shut down because they closed stuff at the courthouse. Okay, well that led to conversations right away from some very strong attorneys that said, hey, you know that you're violating people's rights by, well, certainly don't want to do that. And knowing that, we're like, okay, how do we navigate through this? Here's how we do it. And that's our job to figure out how we're navigating through it.
We set up a trailer outside the courthouse and maintained distances. We kept people safe from the pandemic, but our job is to kind of give these people access to that constitutional right.
And sometimes, as I alluded to, sometimes it puts us, by the way it's wrote, puts us in a difficult spot. You know, some sheriffs get into that position, and you have civil rights groups that want to come back after you because of whether you denied somebody the right to a license to carry because they weren't 21. Well, under the statute, the way it was wrote, 18 to 21, you can't get a license to carry.
Yeah.
But if you read the Constitution, it contradicts that.
Yeah.
So it puts you in a sticky spot because the network and the system and our process doesn't allow you to go around that.
Yeah.
So I know a couple of sheriffs that are facing that, and we'll get through it fine because again they're not doing it trying to infringe upon somebody's rights. And unfortunately, they're just stuck in a position of the way the process and the case law or the legislation is wrote about it that just puts them in a very difficult position to have to navigate. Yeah. But it will work out. Again, the community still wants to know that when that happens, they want to know how did you get in this position? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
provided you have the answer that is an honest answer, and the community will accept that and they understand it and they still remain supportive of you because they trust you being that buffer between the government and them.
But you know, one of the things, like you said, is, you know, you're constantly fielding. You're the elected official. The people come to you for help. You are the go-between between the citizens and the other agencies. You know, and I think the biggest thing, you know, is one, being able to communicate with the people, know that you're there for them. You know, and building the relationships with the community, with the other, you know, agencies, whether it's law enforcement or social agencies, civic agencies, community groups, and having that relationship to be able to try to solve the issues for the people.
Sure.
So
It is tough sometimes, just explaining it, like you mentioned, explaining to our citizens, our constituents, that we can't do certain things, and it's frustrating because they don't understand. They're like, wait a minute, the sheriff is the oldest law enforcement in the country.
They still see a badge and gun.
Right.
Yeah.
They feel that way.
All the movement and the working relationship, when we are, while we are an extension or an assist to the courts, we don't work for the courts.
Correct.
And sometimes that confusion comes in. We work with them, and every once in a while that gets reminded. Certain counties I've talked to, that they've had to remind certain other elected folks that they're like, hey, I don't work for you, I work with you.
right.
So
right.
talk to
Yep.
me and we will work with you. So we're responsible for, you know, the transportation and the safety of the inmates that are incarcerated for their court proceedings, which was scheduled, making sure that they're there in a timely fashion, making sure that if they have other meetings that you can make them available for their legal counsel sometimes. And as frustrating as that may be sometimes, that is a necessity to be able to be part of the process. And we are a vital role to our counties for the legal process.
Right.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that doesn't function because of the incarcerated folks if it wasn't for our office making that happen. And the network across the different counties talking as we're dealing with inmates, and they pick that warrant up and they call, you call me and you got one of my warrants. You know, and we work that out, or vice versa. You have something happen in the midst of a transport, I know I can pick the phone up and call any one of 66 other counties and say, Frank, I'm in your county, my car just broke down, or I had this happen and I got somebody on board, and I know they will drop what they're doing and come running. And that's just fantastic to have that network in the family and know that we can still keep those people safe. It is our responsibility to make sure we keep them safe.
Yeah, and I don't know how many other agencies do it. I don't think I did it when I was 22 years municipal, but the outreach. And again, like you just said, if something comes up and I'm like, can we do this, or how should I do it differently? I call Jim, get an answer.
Right.
Call you guys,
Right.
get an answer.
And
right?
I do that. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
why?
there's some sheriffs that's been around for.
Yeah, but the biggest question, why do we do that? Because we care. We care about our citizens. We want the best for our citizens. Is the reason we reach out across the state looking for the best way to do it. Run an office efficiently, fiscally responsible. But we've bounced ideas, I don't know how many times, not just us, I mean with many other sheriffs.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one thing that I really appreciated when I first came into office. Was
Me too.
Was being able to reach out to Jim. Was the first sheriff that I met.
Yeah.
And you know, right away, I had his card, I had his number.
Yeah.
I have your number.
Yep.
I have CJ's number. And again, I appreciate being able to do that as somebody just coming out. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing and I'm serving the people to the best of my ability. So
Which is
I
also-
appreciate that.
Yeah, some of the point of the Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association, right?
Sure.
It's one of our goals, it's our mission.
Yeah, being new, they give you a lot of information.
They do.
And they're there to answer the phone quickly.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Every
And what you find, and we were on a meeting last week with Philadelphia. And
Yes.
so as large as Philadelphia is, to as small as the counties that have 2, 3, 4 guys,
there's
6
some-
guys,
We have 8, but yeah, we're small.
we all face the same problem. And we're trying
Right.
to,
We do.
so we're trying to recruit or attract, we're trying to retain.
Yeah.
and all while trying to do it consistently and professionally. We all face that same battle. You know, every county, whether you have a handful or you have hundreds, we're short.
That the place that I worked, it was 4 square miles with about 27,000 people. Now I'm dealing with a county that's 300 square miles and 140,000 people. So you get to diversify in a sense. You can go from, you know, very affluent areas to areas that aren't as affluent, and you get to interact with the people. And then that's the big thing is you're right. It's, you know, the other thing is too, you know, just being able to be out in the community and interacting, building those relationships and assisting the other law enforcement agencies. Again, as our office, we're fortunate that currently we're the 3rd largest agency in the county. So we do offer that support to the other agencies as well when they need it. And they're not afraid to call.
Right.
So that's the nice thing with having a professional office, in a sense that they're well trained, they're well equipped, and they want to learn. They want to be out there doing it.
Sure.
So.
And I think in a lot of our community events and community organizations, they recognize that. And I know for us, they've come back talking with us and saying, hey, I saw your deputies did this, or this. I'd like to recognize them.
Right.
And they're now bringing that recognition out. And listen, who doesn't like to be recognized? And you don't need, you know, a big parade in your name, but to have an attaboy or somebody
Sure.
from the community to
Goes a
show
long
their
way.
appreciation goes a long way. You know, you mentioned your 3rd largest law enforcement entity in your county. We're the 2nd largest. Most people don't realize that either. We now have, and then to show the professionalism, we now, across the Commonwealth, now have where the state police, or sometimes it's maybe 1 or 2 municipalities, the state police and the sheriff's office. And they're relying on calling the sheriff's office to say, we need your help.
Right.
We need your resource. We need your support. And knowing that they're getting quality professional people, and knowing that the training standards that we have are second to none, and that they know that when you're getting that, you're going to get the proper support and assistance that you need for the situation you're in.